Hello and welcome. I'm Annette Reeder from thebiblicalnutritionist.com, and today I'm going to share with you 13 things that you should know before starting chemo or radiation. This is all about being a cancer survivor and how you're going to so enjoy your life after this diagnosis. Well, thanks for letting me share with you God's recipe for excellent health. It always includes the number one ingredient: God loves you. No matter what's going on in your life, God has a purpose and a plan for you. And I can't wait to see how that's going to live out in your life. Also, if you are new to the channel, please go ahead and hit the like and the subscribe and the bell next to it so you get notified every time we post new videos. And we answer your questions in our private Facebook group. We are here to answer your questions in the comments down below, because you have a life that you want to live fully and abundantly, as it says, and I want to help you do that. Today, we're going to talk about 13 things that you should know when you get that cancer diagnosis before starting chemo or radiation. And number 13 is the most important, so stay tuned to the end for that one. Number one is, does the hospital or the cancer center that you're going to, do they offer genomic, genetic, or tumor profiling testing? This is very important because you need to know if something that they're recommending even will work on your genetics, on your tumor profiling. And you want this done before you've had any treatments whatsoever. Sometimes they will offer to do it after 2 or 3 treatments. Well, by then you already have an altered system and you're not going to get the accurate results that you need. Don't go through chemo before having this done. Even if you have to pay out of pocket, you may save your life by this test. To have the wrong chemo given just because they've done it to thousands of other people doesn't mean it's going to work on you. This is medicine. Medicine is a practice. So make sure you get that. Also, we have a new cancer course. You can check that out. I'll put the link down below. I will have all of these questions and the answers to these questions in that cancer course. And so go ahead and check that out. Number 2, you can have low-dose cancer treatments. In other words, you can have a low-dose chemo. This is kind of a new alternative, and you need to ask your doctor if they're willing to do it, because this may save your life. What happens is you can do a low dose, and there's a couple different ways that they're doing it today, and they give you like a 10 to 30% of the normal high dose treatment. And so what happens is, by doing a low dose, you have greater effectiveness of the chemo. Your healthy cells are better protected. Your immune system stays strong. Some people don't lose any hair because of this. And it's something that not all doctors have caught up with, because they like to do it the way they've always done it. Well, you're not just another person in line for treatment. You are someone who's there to protect your life and your future. So ask if they will do low-dose treatment. Definitely it's more new on the scene, but there's a lot of information about it and its effectiveness. So check that out. I want to keep you stronger longer, and I don't want you caught up into the low white blood cell counts and just everything that can wipe you out. I want to protect you. Number 3. Does your doctor, physician, whoever's taking care of your case, do they offer nutritional treatments or nutritional support or nutritional teaching? Because what you eat does matter. I got so aggravated at a doctor that I was visiting with my mom. She was going to a new specialist, and he was the best of the world. And everything he says was supposed to be gold, and it was supposed to make our hearts throb. And we were supposed to say, oh, whatever you want, we will do it. Well, we aren't that. My mom and I were not the type of patient. And so we asked, what about nutrition? Can you offer us some support? Oh, just eat whatever you want. It doesn't matter. It does matter. It does matter to how your cells respond to the treatment, how you can protect your healthy cells. If you're just going to go out and eat hamburger and French fries, that's just contributing to the problem. Or if you're going to go home and eat a bucket of Haagen-Dazs, you're contributing to the problem. You can actually change your diet to the 3 principles and be stronger and healthier through the treatment. And you can say, hey, I'm here for my next treatment. Now, we'll talk about alternatives in a little bit. And the doctor's going to say, wow, you've had 3 treatments and you look that great? Yeah. How are you doing that? Well, I'm not following your advice about eat whatever. I'm eating healthy by the Bible diet or biblical principles. So ask your doctor, do they offer you nutritional teaching or nutritional support? That's important for you for today, tomorrow, and for the rest of your life. Question number 4. How will you know? Now, these are all questions you need to ask before starting any treatment. Make sure you stay to number 13 because that's important. But number 4 is, how will you know if a treatment is working? So if you were to ask a doctor, well, how are we going to know? You actually can require that if you choose to do chemo, that they do a scan or a specific blood test after round 1. Now, they'll say that's too early to tell, but you want to know how your body's responding to round 1. Maybe you could ask for another scan and testing after round 2 and round 3. But once you've had 3 rounds of treatment, yes, that tumor should have done something by now, but could you have known that at round 1 and round 2? So you want to know, you want to ask this question, you want to demand the answer. When do you do scans to test if the chemo is working? Not by the end of the treatment plan. That is way too late to know if it even worked. And that's why I suggest the genomic testing first, because you'll know ahead of time if your cells are even going to respond to it, and that's being done in a petri dish and not in your body. That's how important this is. So these are things that you should know before you go into any chemo or radiation. Number 5, what are the risk factors of your diagnosis? Now, with my mom, basically, I worked at the hospital, I worked with the oncologist, and so I recommended her to see him. This is before my healthy journey, but my mom was already on a healthy journey. So she was very much into eating healthy, and she was never overweight. She always managed herself really well. So we were quite shocked at this, that she had thymoma, which is a tumor of the thymus gland. And so we were shocked, and yet we wanted to know what was the risk of this cancer. And we wanted to know short-term and long-term. Well, basically, because she had no symptoms whatsoever, it was a general x-ray that showed, hey, there's something in your chest, we need to look into this. What are the risk factors? So the doctor pulled me aside. I was working in the ER that day, and he pulled me aside and he says, Annette, you know, this is rare. You can only go to Indiana. They're the only ones who've studied this, and she has probably 5 years to live. Well, she didn't. That was wrong. She lived over 19 years because we did so much of what I'm teaching you today. Okay, so you need to know what are their expectancy. So this is important because if they're only expecting you to live 5 years, you need to look for alternative help. We'll get to that. Okay, number 6. Do they offer physical therapy treatments? Because chemo and radiation can actually deteriorate your bones, and it can zap the calcium and the magnesium from your bones because your body needs it to build other areas, and it's just being wiped out. So do they offer physical therapies? Because there are specific different exercises that you can do to maintain your bone density. This is so important. Don't wait till you're all done and say, oh, I wish I had done. No, I'm telling you now, before you even go into a chemo treatment or a radiation, what are you going to do to increase the bone density of your bones to stay strong? And if you need a physical therapist to teach you that, then get that recommendation or that prescription from your doctor to see one. If your insurance will cover it, great. If not, find a physical therapist and ask them, hey, what can I pay you on the side to teach me this? Or Google it. There's probably a YouTube video out there about it. Now, number 7 is what I've been teaching you for a long time. So be sure you're subscribed to this video so you get these teachings. It's all about vitamin D. We want a consistent vitamin D level above 70. If you're not above 70, like your doctor will be happy if you're above 30 because most people are in the teens. No, that's not it. People who are above 70 rarely have a cancer. So I want you to ask your doctor or just take charge of this yourself. Check your vitamin D level now and check it every 3 months to make sure you're maintaining a vitamin D level of 70 or above. And then, so I'm going to put a link down below to the vitamin D supplement. It's super easy to take. I don't like those great big pills that some companies have. We did a test on these with our Inner Circle group, and we showed that they doubled their vitamin D score in just 2.5 months by using the product that I'm going to link to down below. And I'm also going to put a link down below how you can order your own vitamin D test. So check that out and get your own numbers. But if you're going to work with your doctor, then ask him, hey, I want my vitamin D level checked now, and I want it checked every 2 months so that I make sure I get to the number that I want to be at and that I can maintain it. This is so important, and then continue this the rest of your life. You won't have to take a test every 2 to 3 months the rest of your life once you understand what it takes to maintain that level. Maybe afterwards, once you've understood that, you can just take the test every 6 months. and then maybe once a year, but don't go beyond a year because things happen in life, and I don't want you ever to slip below 70. Number 8, you need to understand toxins love your fat cells, and your fat cells love to grow fat cells once you have toxins. I have one friend of mine, she is totally cured of her cancer, but she discovered it was the mercury from the vaccines that she had to take to go overseas on a mission trip. That is what had accumulated so much into her breast tissue, which gave her that cancer. But she had to do a lot of testing to discover what toxins had contributed to her cancer, and those were the highest levels. So you need to know, what toxins are you being exposed to? Are you drinking out of plastic water bottles? Are you eating out of cans that don't have that BPA-free lining? Even the new lining, I'm not 100% sure about. Are you exposing yourself to contaminated water or air or, food that has pesticides on it? Eating organic is so important. Don't even put in the comments down below it's more expensive. We all get that. Grow your own garden. You are responsible for what you put in your mouth. And if you do buy produce that's been sprayed with pesticides, then clean it and peel it really well and then clean it again. Don't transfer from the fruit to your hand and then back to the fruit after you've peeled it. Clean everything a couple times. So these toxins are what is contributing to our high incidence of cancers. So it's what's being put in the vaccines. In addition to the vaccine, it's the preservatives, it's what's being put into our food, how our food's being handled, and how our food is being grown with the glyphosate spray. So this is how we protect ourselves. And don't get overwhelmed by what I'm teaching you. This is so doable, and you can do this. If you choose to do chemo, then you want to ask the doctor, is it okay if you do water fasting before and during treatment? Water fasting is very important 12 to 24 hours prior to treatment, during treatment, and then 12 to 24 hours after treatment. What it does is it causes an autophagy, so your body gets rid of the dead cells. So you're wanting the chemo to come in and kill the cancer. The autophagy helps your body to get rid of it, and it speeds up the process of the chemo. So whether you choose to do alternative treatments or chemo treatments, conventional treatments, water fasting during treatment days is very effective. It speeds up the chemo results and it speeds up the healing of your healthy cells. But you need to check with your doctor if you're going to go that route and ask them, are they okay with that, with you doing water fasting? If they're not, consider that before getting started. Maybe you should choose a different doctor. Number 10, can you do alternative therapies along with conventional treatments? So you need to know, first of all, what are some alternative treatments, some integrative. So integrative oncology means you're adding in alternative treatments along with conventional treatments. And so this is just a choice. Always know that whatever you choose to do once you have a cancer diagnosis is your choice. Just follow it and stick with it, and just always trust the Lord in that. But what I'm saying here now is, before you ever start a treatment, always know that there are plenty of alternative therapies that can benefit a chemo procedure. And by knowing this ahead of time, you can prevent the loss of your hair or lessen it. You can improve your immune system and not be weakened. You can keep your strength too. You might get tired a little bit, but you won't be as weak as many people are, and you won't have the side effects immediately and for years to come. Chemo has incredible side effects. One of the doctor friends that I used to work with, she said, because I was telling her about our family member, not my mom, but one of us living in this house that had cancer, and she says, realize you have 7 years of toxin die-off from treatments. It's like, okay, did not realize that. 7 years. So you have 7 years to rebuild your body and just get all of those toxins that have been added to your body because of the chemo. Once it's done its job, you want it out, gone, move on. You're not welcome here. So you need to recognize this. Pay attention to it. And so for 7 years, be so, have such a concerted effort that you're eating organic. In fact, just check out our cancer course. I'll put a link to it down below. It's a brand new course that we are putting out. It's with Jenny Brandt. She is such a cancer survivor. Her story is amazing. And so with her notes and my notes, we're going to teach you what to do. And so you just can make a lot of better decisions when you're more knowledgeable about it. So just realize, ask your doctor who's treating you, can you add in integrative therapies to go along with the chemo? And whatever he decides, make sure you're good with that. Make sure you're okay with his answer, his or her, sorry. I know there's a lot of female oncologists, so I don't mean to put them all in one category. Number 11 is you need to know ahead of time. Are the people who are taking care of you, who are helping you with this cancer treatment, whether you choose alternative or conventional, are they looking at your cancer as a curative, or are they looking at it as a palliative? Are they just trying to ease your symptoms so that you can just live with it until you die from it? Or are they trying to really cure it and say, hey, it's gone. You're not in remission. You're not in remission. You're totally cured. What is their perspective on your treatment? You need to know what they're thinking and what they're writing in that chart. So it was easy when I worked at the hospital. I could grab the chart and read it. I don't have that liberty anymore. So you need to know what are their intentions, because that changes what you're doing as far as how you're looking at this. Number 12, you need to know if you're working with an oncologist, hematologist, whichever one of those ologists that you're working with, what percent of patients do they have that were cured of this because of the treatment they're recommending to you? I would ask the same question to an alternative cancer center, like maybe Hope for Cancer down in Mexico, as I would a conventional doctor that might be at MD Anderson or any of the cancer treatment centers. So you need to know what percent of patients has that person that you're trusting your life with had that was cured because of the treatment that they're recommending. Most doctors won't know. They don't do follow-up. They treat you, they move on. They treat the next person, they move on. They don't know what the percentage of cure rate is. Maybe you should consider that before going with them. You know, if I'm going to go to a mechanic to fix my car, hey, what percent of cars have you fixed that actually drive out of here and aren't broken anymore? They should say 100%. I know medicine is not the same as a car, but they still should have an idea. What is their cure rate? What is their percentage of success? That's what we want to call it, percentage of success. And then, number 13, if I could tell you anything, I would tell you this. Don't listen to the words that say, we must quickly tackle this. We need to rush you in. We need to quickly move in. We must move quickly. We must move fast on this. Those are scare tactics, and they don't belong in your cure, in your treatment plan. Never be scared into doing something. Never let fear drive you to making a decision. If you receive a cancer diagnosis, first of all, you've already had a little bit of apprehension prior to it. Take 2 weeks minimum and go somewhere where you love to be, where it's the place where you hear from the Lord the best. Talk to the Lord about it. Lord, I am not going to be driven by fear, because fear increases tumor growth. I am not going to be driven by anger, because anger increases tumor growth. Instead, I'm going to rely on the fruits of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, meekness. I forgot the other two. Goodness and self-control. I think I got most of those right. That's what you want to rely on, because the flesh gets caught up in the anger, the fear, I must do this now, I don't have time to think. And before you know it, you've gone to surgery, you've gone into a high-dose chemo, and you could have probably alleviated some of that if you just took a couple weeks out to pray about it and say, Lord, what is your answer for me? I am not saying surgery and chemo is wrong. It's what's right for you. I know my mom wouldn't have lived 19 years if we hadn't included in alternative treatments. Well, she did chemo, the surgery was no good because they opened her up and then closed her back up and said, we can't do anything. So she did chemo, she did radiation. She did a few experiments up at NIH, but we did our alternative, and that's what kept her alive through every wedding that she went to for her grandchildren, all of the great-grandchildren that were born, when she toured the world through Australia and Israel, all of those places, and not sickly, very healthy. That's what I want for you. Only I don't want it to be a 19-year. I want it to be a forever curative is what I want for you. Don't get caught up in words of fear, tactics of anger, or speed. You don't need that. Taking 2 weeks out, spending time in prayer, pushing those fearmonger words aside, and I wouldn't go to an oncologist who used the words of fear. My mom and I, we visited a couple oncologists, and some of them threatened us. If you touch a supplement, I won't treat you. If you change your eating, I won't treat you. Well, then we said, fine, then we'll go somewhere else. because we knew that we needed to give the body what it needs to heal so it could allow the chemo to focus on the tumor. We knew what we needed to do. We just needed to have a physician that was willing to help us. Well, thanks for letting me share with you these 13 things that you should know once you've been diagnosed with cancer and before you do chemo or radiation. I highly encourage you to check out our cancer course, Conquering Cancer. Go to biblicalnutritionacademy.com. It is on pre-sale right now, and depending on when you watch this video, it might already be open. But go ahead and catch that right away. And also the other links that I told you about in this video will be down below. Most importantly, hit the subscribe so you get notified every time we post new videos. There's a lot to learn from studying God's Word and understanding, well, what would God want us to do with these different health situations? And that's what I'm here for as your personal biblical nutritionist. Thanks for watching.